Think for a second about what sleep actually is. For hours, every single night, you voluntarily shut down. You become blind, deaf to most things, unconscious, paralyzed basically, lying still and unaware while the world goes on around you. You stop monitoring for danger entirely. You surrender completely to total helplessness. For you, in a locked house with walls and a roof and a door, that's no problem at all. It's cozy. But strip all of that away. Put yourself out in the open, tens of thousands of years ago, in a dark world absolutely full of things that would happily eat you. Big cats, hyenas, bears, predators with night vision far better than yours, who hunt in exactly the hours you most need to be unconscious. And now lying down, closing your eyes, and losing consciousness for hours becomes just about the single most dangerous thing you could possibly do. And yet, our ancestors did it, every night, for hundreds of thousands of years. They had to, because here's the cruel part. Sleep is not optional. You cannot simply choose to skip it to stay safe. Every animal needs it, and a human deprived of sleep for long enough suffers terribly, falling apart physically and mentally until it can kill you. So our ancestors were trapped in an impossible bind. They could not stay awake to stay safe. They had to go unconscious, helpless, in a world that wanted to devour them and somehow survive it, night after night after night. Let yourself feel the weight of it for a moment. Picture being there. The sun is going down, and with it goes your greatest advantage, your eyes. Humans are creatures of the day. We see well in daylight and poorly in the dark. But so many of the things that hunt us are the opposite. Their eyes drink in the faint light. Their ears and noses map a world you cannot perceive. As the darkness thickens around your little group, you become more and more blind, while the night beyond becomes more and more alive. You hear things moving out there, a snapped twig, a low sound you can't identify, something breathing, maybe, just past the edge of what you can see. And soon, despite all of it, your body will demand that you lie down, stop watching, stop listening, and disappear into unconsciousness for hours. Every fiber of a prey animal screams against it, and yet it must be done. That was the nightly reality for thousands upon thousands of generations of your ancestors. So how did they do it? How did early humans sleep? Out in the open? Surrounded by predators? Without simply being picked off one by one in the dark? And here's the thing nobody tells you. They didn't just survive this problem. They solved it so completely that the solution is still inside you, shaping the way you sleep tonight, in ways you've never even noticed. This is the story of the most dangerous thing. Our ancestors did every single night, and the brilliant ways they conquered it. So let's start at the very beginning of this problem, because it wasn't always this bad. Our distant ape ancestors had a pretty good solution to the danger of sleep. They slept in the trees. If you watch our closest relatives today, chimpanzees and gorillas and orangutans, you'll see that they typically sleep up off the ground, in the trees, and most of them actually build a fresh sleeping nest each night. A platform of bent and woven branches, sometimes lined with leaves, a little bed up in the safety of the canopy. Up there, out of reach of most ground predators, sleep is far safer. For millions of years, this was the human family's answer to the problem of sleep. Get up high, where the things that hunt you on the ground can't easily follow. But then our ancestors did something dramatic. They came down from the trees. As they evolved to walk upright and live on the open ground, their bodies changed, becoming suited to walking and running across the land rather than climbing and hanging in branches. And at some point, likely around the time of our ancestor Homo erectus, well over 1 million years ago, humans became creatures of the ground, not the trees. We started sleeping down there, on the open earth. And this is a genuinely strange and risky thing to have done. Because of all the primates on Earth, humans are the only ones who habitually sleep on the ground, fully, every night, across every age and both sexes. The others retreat to the trees or to cliffs. We alone committed to sleeping out in the open, in the most dangerous real estate imaginable, right where the predators walk. So having given up the safety of the trees, we needed new ways to survive the night. And the first, and greatest, of those was fire. Fire changed everything about how humans sleep, and it may be one of the most important reasons we survived at all. Because fire does something no other tool can. It pushes back the dark. A fire burning through the night creates a circle of light and heat. that almost every wild animal instinctively fears and avoids. To a predator hunting in the dark, a fire is a warning, a barrier, a thing to stay away from. So, a group of humans sleeping around a fire was suddenly far, far safer than a group sleeping in open darkness. The flames stood guard while they slept, a glowing wall between them and the teeth in the night. Fire also kept them warm, which mattered enormously, and it kept away the biting insects, and it let them see if something was approaching. The campfire was, in a very real sense, the first home security system. The first safe bedroom, a portable piece of safety our ancestors could carry with them and light wherever they needed to sleep. But fire gave us something more than safety, and it's worth pausing on because it may have helped make us who we are. Before fire, when the sun went down, there was nothing to do but sleep. Fire created something brand new in the world. An evening, a stretch of warm, lit, relatively safe time after dark, when the day's work of finding food was done, but sleep had not yet come. And what did humans do with that firelit time? They sat together. They talked. They told stories. They passed on knowledge, settled disputes, planned, laughed, and bonded. Many researchers believe this firelit social time was profoundly important in shaping human culture, language, and connection. The same fire that guarded our sleep also gave us the first real space for the warm, talkative, story-sharing closeness that is so deeply human. The campfire didn't just protect the tribe. In a sense, it helped create the tribe. Of course, fire came with its own demand. A fire that goes out in the middle of the night is no protection at all. So someone had to tend it, to wake and feed it through the dark hours, keeping the flame alive. And that need, the need for someone to stir and tend the fire through the night, fits hand in glove with the next great solution, because it meant there was a built-in reason for people to be waking and stirring at intervals all night long. Think about what that unlocked. With fire, humans could sleep deeply and safely, on the open ground, in places that would otherwise have been a death trap. One researcher describes it beautifully, saying that fire and shelter and sleeping together let our ancestors build a kind of protective shell around their sleep, a little bubble of safety in the vast and dangerous night. Fire was the wall of that shell. And around that fire, something else was happening. The second great solution to the problem of sleep. They were not sleeping alone. They were sleeping together. And that simple fact turns out to hide one of the most elegant survival tricks in all of nature. To understand it, we have to talk about a remarkable discovery, made not by digging up ancient bones, but by watching modern people sleep. There are still today groups of people who live as hunter-gatherers, much as our ancestors did, including a people in Tanzania called the Hadza. And a team of researchers decided to study, in fine detail, how they actually sleep. They fitted people with devices that tracked their movement and sleep through the night, and they gathered data across many nights and many people. And what they found was astonishing. Over 20 days of observation, across a whole group of people sleeping near each other, there were only 18 total minutes in the entire study, when every single person was asleep at the same time. Just 18 minutes. The rest of the time, day and night, somebody, somewhere in the group, was awake. In fact, for 99.8% of the nighttime hours, at least one person, and usually several, were awake or sleeping only lightly. There was almost always a pair of open eyes. And here's the beautiful part. Nobody planned this. There was no schedule, no assigned night watch, no one given the job of guarding while the others slept. It happened entirely naturally, on its own, because people drift off at slightly different times and wake at slightly different times and stir briefly through the night at different moments. In any decent-sized group, there is almost always someone, by pure chance, who happens to be awake at any given moment. The group, without ever intending to, sentineled itself. It posted a guard automatically, all night, every night, just from the natural variation in when people sleep. Scientists call this the sentinel hypothesis, the idea that group-living creatures stay safer during sleep because their staggered, varied sleep patterns mean someone is almost always alert enough to notice a threat and raise the alarm. And it solves the problem of sleep perfectly. No individual has to sacrifice their rest to stand guard. The safety emerges for free from the simple fact of sleeping together in a group with natural differences in sleep timing. And here's where it gets personal and a little bit wonderful. Have you ever wondered why in any group there are early birds and night owls? Why your grandparent wakes before dawn while a teenager can sleep till noon and stay up half the night? We often treat these differences as quirks or even problems, but they may be a precious inheritance because a group with a mix of early risers, night owls, and everyone in between is a group that has natural coverage across the entire night. The night owl is still awake when the early bird is deep asleep. The early bird wakes just as the night owl finally drifts off. Your sleep schedule, the one that feels so personal, may be a leftover piece of an ancient defense system, your assigned shift in a watch rotation that nobody ever had to organize, stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. And there's a poignant extra layer to this. As people age, their sleep naturally tends to get lighter and shorter, and many older people wake very early, well before dawn. We often treat this as just an unfortunate side effect of getting old, but some scientists suspect it served a real purpose. In a group, the elders, sleeping lightly and waking early, would have been natural sentinels in the most dangerous pre-dawn hours, watching over the deep, heavy sleep of the young and the strong. The grandmother who wakes at 4 in the morning, maybe expressing an ancient and precious role, the light sleeping guardian of the dawn watch. Once again, what looks like a flaw turns out to be a feature, a piece of an invisible system that kept the whole group alive. Humans layered on other defenses too, of course, choosing their sleeping spots with care. When they could, they slept in places that were easier to defend, the mouth of a cave with solid rock at their backs, a rocky overhang, a spot with good sightlines or higher ground. A cave with a fire at its entrance was a near fortress, the stone walls guarding most directions, and the flames sealing the one-way in. The choice of where to lay your head was never casual. It was a survival calculation, made fresh every single night, weighing shelter, defensibility, and the ever-present question of what else might be hunting in the area. So now, here's the question that should be sitting in the back of your mind. Fire to guard the dark, and a group that watches itself through the night. That's clever. But did it actually change us? Deep down? Did the way our ancestors solved the problem of sleep leave a real mark on the human body? And the answer is a fascinating yes. Because it appears to have changed the very nature of our sleep itself. Scientists who compare the sleep of different primate species have found that human sleep is genuinely strange. We are, as one researcher put it, evolutionary outliers. Compared to all our primate relatives, humans sleep for a surprisingly short time. Most other primates sleep significantly more than we do. A chimpanzee sleeps somewhere around 9 or more hours a night. Many primates sleep even longer, but humans average around 7, and often less. We are, remarkably, the shortest sleeping primate of all. But here's the trade. While our sleep is short, it is also exceptionally deep and efficient. We pack a higher proportion of the deep, restorative stages of sleep, including a notably high amount of dreaming REM sleep, into those fewer hours than our relatives do. In other words, we don't sleep long, we sleep hard. We get in, we get the rejuvenation we need with remarkable efficiency, and we get out. And think about why that might have evolved. If sleeping on the ground was dangerous, then spending less time doing it was an advantage. The less time you spend unconscious and vulnerable, the smaller your window of risk. So there may have been real evolutionary pressure on our ancestors to make their sleep shorter, to minimize those dangerous hours, while still getting all the deep, essential restoration the brain and body require. Our short, intense, efficient sleep may be a direct adaptation to the danger of sleeping in the open. We compressed our most vulnerable hours into the smallest, most efficient package natural selection could manage. It's a remarkable thought that the reason you can feel fully rested on far less sleep than a chimpanzee may be because somewhere in the deep past, the humans who slept long and shallow were quietly removed from the gene pool by the things that hunt in the dark, leaving behind the short, deep sleepers who became us. The way you sleep tonight, short and deep compared to a chimp, is very possibly a survival strategy forged in the dangerous nights of the deep past. So let's add up the full solution. Our ancestors came down from the safe trees to the dangerous ground, and to survive sleeping there, they surrounded themselves with fire, a glowing wall against the predators of the dark. They slept together in groups, which, through the simple magic of staggered sleep, meant someone was almost always awake and watching, a guard posted automatically all night long. And over countless generations, their very sleep evolved to become shorter and deeper, minimizing the hours of dangerous vulnerability. Fire, family, and efficient sleep. 3 solutions layered together that turned the most dangerous thing a human did each night into something survivable. But I have to be honest with you. The way this channel always tries to be. None of this made the night safe. It only made it survivable, less deadly, better odds. Because sometimes it still went wrong. Sometimes the fire burned low and no one woke to feed it. Sometimes the group was small or exhausted or unlucky and no sentinel happened to be watching at the fatal moment. And in the dark, something came. We have evidence from ancient bones of early humans who were killed and eaten by large predators. The fear our ancestors felt of the dark, of the night, of the sounds beyond the firelight was not irrational. It was earned over countless generations of real loss. Some who lay down to sleep did not wake up. The defenses were brilliant, and they worked most of the time, but the night was never fully tamed, and our ancestors knew it every time they closed their eyes. And maybe that's why this all still lives in us so powerfully, because here is the strange and moving truth. You carry the legacy of those dangerous nights inside you right now. Think about how you feel sleeping alone in an unfamiliar place versus in a home full of people you trust. Think about why a strange noise in the night can snap you instantly from deep sleep to heart-pounding alertness. Think about why so many of us, even in our safe, locked, modern homes, still feel a flicker of unease at the dark, still sleep a little better knowing someone we love is nearby. That is not weakness or childishness. That is the ancient wisdom of a prey animal that learned across hundreds of thousands of years that sleep means vulnerability and that safety means fire and walls and, above all, other people close by. Researchers have even found that our brains, while we sleep, never fully switch off their threat monitoring. Some part of you stays on watch, scanning the dark, ready to wake you if it hears something that doesn't belong, but able to sleep through the familiar, safe sounds of your own people nearby. You are still, in a sense, sentineling every single night. The watch never truly ended. It just moved inside you. So here's my last question for you. Tonight, you will lie down and close your eyes and surrender to the most vulnerable state a living thing can enter. And you will do it without a second thought because you feel safe. But that feeling of safety is not nothing. It is the hard-won inheritance of every ancestor who tended a fire through the night, who woke at a strange sound and saved the group, who lay down beside the people they loved and trusted them to watch over the dark. Every safe night's sleep you have ever had was built on that. So the next time you drift off, easily, peacefully, behind your locked door, maybe spare a thought for the countless nights and the countless watchers that earned you this. Who watched over the sleep of the people who became you? And whose sleep, one day, will you watch over? Let me know what you think in the comments. I genuinely want to hear it. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you soon.